Are we just saying, hey, this is the way we want to do it? We're going to worship him on Sunday because, that's the way we want to do it. And we're going to do it this way because that's the way we want to do it. It's not the way God said to do it, but we're going to do it this way. Because it makes us feel comfortable.
And look at it this way too, because it all boils down to tradition again. Why do we worship on Sunday? Can anybody explain that to me? It's because the Catholic Church started that many eons ago. Yeah. And when Luther separated from the Catholic Church, there were a lot of things that he got rid of, and I applaud him for that. Yeah. But there are things that he kept. And one of them was Sunday worship, and I think because Luther was such a rabid anti-Semite, I think that knowing that the Jews worshipped on Saturday, he didn't want that. But explain to me why we worship on Sunday. Well, probably because Luther did it, and Luther's grandson did it, and Calvin did it, and everybody else did it. So hey, if they did it, then we're going to do it. And I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it in Scripture. I really can't.
It's not there. You can search till you're blue in the face. It's not going to be there.
Yeah.
And it makes me think, does he accept it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It
really is.
Does he accept that worship? Does he want us to worship? I mean, how? I just, he loves us. I know he loves us. Does he just say, "Oh, you're so ignorant, people"?
Yeah.
And does he give us grace? Is that where the grace comes in?
It would have to be.
I don't know. So it's
well, grace being unmerited favor, it would have to be that. Yeah. And grace is a good thing. We're not knocking grace because we're under grace. But at the same time, grace can be abused, just like freedom can be abused. And for instance, this country, this United States, we've had freedoms for so long, or I shouldn't say we've had freedom for so long, and you start taking advantage of it, and to where you're free, but you're not free enough, so you demand more freedom, and that's good for a little while, but you're still not free enough, and you just keep demanding more and more until you're not free anymore because you're an anarchist. And
right. Well, you start feeling entitled, and you start demanding things that really aren't for you. Really aren't. You shouldn't have.
Right.
And what's the Bible say about things? He says we are free.
Mm-hmm.
We're free in the right way. And this nation is built upon man's desires and hopes and dreams.
Right.
And I know a lot of people think that the nation was built upon, God, the foundation of God and all that. But I don't know. I have other thoughts about that. But I feel that our hopes and dreams our foundation needs to not be based on the Constitution of this country.
Right.
But on the Bible and the truths that are founded within it.
Right.
Our home is not here. And being believers, that needs to be our focus. That needs to be the important thing in our life. And it's okay to love your country. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I think we need to respect the country we live in and support it any way we can.
Yeah, I know it's difficult, isn't it?
I know. But our foundation needs to be here in the Word.
Right.
And we need to be grateful for what we have and not be feeling entitled that we deserve. We don't deserve.
We deserve to die. It's what we deserve. That's what Scripture says.
Get real about what we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And we should never, ever feel entitled.
Right.
To anything. And we need to understand what our role on this earth is and be grateful that we're alive and that we can serve Yahweh and do what He wants us to do. Our role on this earth is to glorify Him and to do His work here and to, I mean, what did He tell us to do? Right?
Go out into all the world and tell them about Him.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And, you know, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, you know, Christians nowadays, not everybody, but a lot of them are so impassioned about some of the gray areas of our faith that don't matter, and they'll sit there day after day, hour after hour, debating with one another about these things, and I've brought it up several times to some of these people, and I'm like, man, you guys have been doing this for 6 hours now online, and, you know, the whole time you've been doing it, you know, how many people did you really witness to? None, of course, and how many souls went to hell that you possibly didn't have to go there because you guys could have been out telling them about Him.
Right.
You know, but no, you're arguing about things, and you know, it's it's something that's not going to be really good when we get to heaven, and some people are like, well, I did this for you and I did that for you. Well, I never told you to debate Calvinism and Arminianism, you know.
I know.
But
I know.
Yeah.
I know we get there sometimes. You know, we you know, just like we go off on tangents and we you know, people won't let it go, in a sense.
Right.
And you're kind of stuck sometimes, and you just have to kind of just say, back off, you know, and we'll talk about it another time, kind of thing. But you got to remember that there's, you know, let's get the basic foundational stuff dealt with.
Right.
You know, and I think if nobody understands what Yeshua was here to do in the first place, why He came, and what He really did when He was here, and what He wants us to do with the information He left us with, then what's the point?
Right.
You know, and we can argue about all this other stuff, and it doesn't get us anywhere.
Well, it's insanity, you know.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec. Okay, we had one of our Skype instances right there. But, yeah, you don't get to hear them. I do.
No, I don't hear any of them.
Yeah, I hear my voice echo, and then I hear a loud squealing noise, and then it goes back to normal. But
I don't squeal.
Yeah. So, but you know, we get wrapped up in so many things, you know, and you and I were talking earlier, you know, the God gave us the 10 Commandments, you know, and we can't pick and choose which ones we want to obey. It's, you know, it's, I mean, because if let's just say Shabbat, the Sabbath, if you don't want to honor that one, then what's to stop you from lacking in honoring other ones, you know, and
right.
You know, you were talking earlier, you know, that the first 5 commandments deal with our relationship to God, between us and God, and the second 5 deal with it between us and our neighbor. And remember, He said that the greatest commandment was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself was the second one. And it's interesting that the first 5 go to the first category, and the second 5 go to the second. And He said, on these things the law and the prophets are hinged, basically.
There you go.
And it's interesting, you know, because folks, you don't know how many churches I've been into. It's like the Lord, and with the exception of the one I'm presently in, it seems like everyone that He sent me to has had some kind of problem or something, and I don't know why He does that. Either it's to go there and pray, or pray against some things that are wrong in the church, or it's just to observe, to see the corruption that goes on, you know. And again, I'm not saying that all churches are this way. There's some wonderful churches out there, but if you look at the last 5, you know, basically it deals with adultery, lying, coveting, lack of respect for elders, stealing, and false witness. And man, I'm telling you, what I've seen in a lot of churches, they're rife with these things. You know, now I know people are people, and you know we all have our faults and everything, but you know, is that possibly because we're not interested in the 10 Commandments and what God has to say? You know, if you look at the adultery one, there's a lot of pastors that were caught cheating on their wives. Yeah. Lying. Little white lies are okay, and false doctrine. What about coveting? Keeping up with the Joneses. How many pastors are out there saying that you can be prosperous and be better than all your other people if you just do this or that?
Oh, yeah.
Lack of respect.
How about the... go ahead.
I was going to say...
I'll let you finish. You finish
okay. Lack of respect for elders. I can't tell you how many times that I've dealt with these young bucks that call themselves Christians, and the minute that you disagree with what they have to say, they use a couple of cuss words, tell you go to hell, and then they're gone, And then stealing. Look at, I've actually seen pastors take money out of the plate after it was put in. And false witnesses. What about, false witness could go along with false doctrine, or it could go along with many things, but and again with the stealing. What about tithes? Now that's a whole other subject we'll talk about someday.
Yep.
But where does it say in the New Testament in the Brit Hadashah that we're supposed to tithe? And it's funny because a lot of believers that are out there, and folks, let me give you a little lesson about me, or a little story about me. Because of my heritage, I choose. I'm not commanded to, but I choose to try to eat kosher. I choose to go to church or worship on Saturday. I choose to follow the or to obey and follow the feasts of Israel, and it's my own choosing. Okay, but it's funny how many people they'll see me doing those things and, oh my goodness, you're a Pharisee. Didn't you know that the law is abolished, that it's, it was nailed to the cross with Jesus, and don't you know this and don't you know that? But don't forget to tithe on Sunday.
Right.
Wow. Tithing was a major part of the law, It's, so the law's abolished except for tithing. There's a special provision in God that God has given for tithing. So
amazing. Absolutely amazing.
But, either the law is abolished and none of it applies, or it's still valid and most of it applies, except for the Levitical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where is that verse where Yeshua said, I came not to abolish the law, but I came to fulfill it?
Oh, I have that one right here.
Yeah.
It's in Matthew chapter 5, I believe.
Okay.
Think not that I have come to destroy the law of the prophets. I have not come to destroy, but to fulfill. And then the capstone of that, I don't want to say the Holy Mother, but the icing on the cake. There we go.
Okay. Hey.
The very next verse says, "For verily I say unto you, until heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall not no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." And then he goes on to say, "Whoever therefore shall break one of the least of these commandments and teach men to do so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven." So it doesn't mean they're not going to heaven. It just means that they're not going to have a lot of rewards. But whoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So if Yeshua was so adamant that the law is still in effect and that it's important, and I think that we should look at it again, and you know what, too, you talked about it being oral tradition that he fought.
Yeah.
Because the very next verse says, "For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter the kingdom of heaven." So, again, he was saying, if you follow, in other words, here's a paraphrase, if you follow the Torah and the law, the Mosaic law, basically,
right,
and you get away from that stupid oral law tradition, then you've got a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. And has heaven and earth passed away?
Not the last time I looked.
Right, yeah. So I think that we're still, the law of Moses is still there for us to obey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for salvation at all. It's for our it's for us to live by.
Right.
And Yeshua came to help us understand the law of Moses is still here, people. I came to fulfill this law. I came to help you understand truly what it is and to understand it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
and to help you understand the difference between the law of Moses and the traditions